I don't know. You guys are just toxic. You just hate you're sexist. Bro, why is Keanu Mundi here? He's not supposed to be here. He would have right away, man. He would have, the same guy. Man, it's fuck this show, man. It's dumb. It's bullshit. Bullshit. Our good friend Star Wars Theory. Some would argue he is the biggest YouTuber, content creator in the Star Wars fandom. He's done even original content based on Star Wars stuff. It's pretty solid. Good friend of us. He's hung out with us, of course. At it will be a couple, because he will be at our booth at Denver Fan Expo. So if you want to come meet him, it will be there for 2 days, 3 days actually, I believe. He will be hanging out with us. He will have his own little spot. You will be able to meet him for the allotted time out there at Denver Fan Expo. Some of you got to meet him at MegaCon at our booth as well. All around good dude. And it's just crazy how, even though, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it, he's remained far more optimistic about Star Wars than a lot of us. He's stuck by it, and he's tried to be as objective as possible. Yeah, he'll tell you if he doesn't like something, but he's held on, okay? That said, obviously, Acolyte is not being well received. And even with Star Wars Theory, if you watch that first stream of that episode, infamous episode number 3, if you watch that stream, he even said, skip all the lesbianism and all that stuff. He was going in on the lore stuff, though I'd make the argument that the former stuff doesn't happen, or the latter stuff doesn't happen without the former. That's why you get the canon breaks and lore breaks. You get those issues because you have a bunch of people that are prioritizing everything but, I don't know, caring for Star Wars. That was enough, however, for these people to say some very, very outlandish things. And Master of TDS has posted some crazy things by these, I don't know if you can even call them shields, because I'm not sure that they're Star Wars fans. Like, you have someone saying, what if Baby Grand Piano just comically fell out of the sky and landed on him like a Looney Tune? Now, all this is because Star Wars Theory basically said, look, man, it's slander being presented by various sites and various people, and I'm not going to stand for it. And that was enough for these guys to get that pissed at him, where they basically want him dead. I think we'd be better off as a species, this is what someone says here, if we just yeeted these losers into the effing sun. Someone needs to get rid of this man. The Star Wars fandom just needs to be nuked at this point. My thoughts are that we need to do a public beheading of Star Wars. Okay, that's just out of line. Now, what they are mad at him for and over is, well, he has an opinion that they don't like. And is it worth wanting people dead over? I don't think it's that serious. But I think this kind of taps you into the psyche of the type of folks that we are dealing with. These people are crazy. And I get it. If you aren't in that position, right, like a Star Wars Theory, you probably just laugh it off and think, well, you have the luxury of being in it, and that's the luxury that obviously you deserve. But when you are a person, especially like Star Wars Theory, that gets out there and his namesake is all he has, and if that is damaged, that damages him, and then you have other people kind of levying threats. And even if it isn't that individual that levies the threat, there may be people that take him up on the offer. We talked about this with Grums. No, it's not tolerated. No, it's not just jokes and internet, bro. This stuff is serious, and you are a dickhead if you are one of those that are levying threats to people over comic books, Star Wars, or whatever thing that we argue about. See, this whole toxic fandom thing really does get me, because they would like to say that a Star Wars Theory, again, who is mild compared to everybody else, like guys on our corner of the internet have been a lot more harsh on Star Wars than what Star Wars Theory has. And they like to call folks toxic, and they present it as if the folks like that, the Garys and the Aspen Hill versus Babyface, all those guys, geeks, gamers, all these people, they talk as if they're toxic. And I don't know, man. Sounds pretty toxic to wish death upon people over Star Wars, because I don't believe any of us are doing that, right? That's pretty mad behavior to either want to carry out physical threats or just levying them. That's not cool. I don't think anybody on our corner of the internet is cool with that. Sure, we can disagree. Sure, we can not like whatever. You can criticize it all day long, but that's a little different from, I don't know, wishing death upon people. That's a little different. And it lets me know that I think a lot of these aren't, I don't even think they're normies, they're tourists. Ideologically focused tourists. They don't like who dislikes something. That's really what happens. Because you wouldn't even be using terms like toxic fans and all that stuff, because if you were part of fandom, especially one of Star Wars, you guys know what happened in the 90s with that trilogy. Very divisive. I don't remember people going around calling folks toxic over it. It was divisive for sure. I think a lot of people are more forgiving of it, but people weren't like at each other's neck over that stuff. I will say that arguments have always been a part of nerd culture. And if you think it's abnormal, you're telling on yourself. You hear me say all the time, a core tenet of nerd culture is people arguing over what outsiders deem as superficial, irrelevant, unimportant. It then never came to exchanging blows, but it was always, it might have got heated. People might have started sweating over the arguments, who could beat who, why this does or does not make sense. Awesome. That was what it was about. But it was all out of love for that brand, the love for that, the culture or the subculture. It was never, hey, you don't like Star Wars, you should die. People didn't do that stuff. Y'all kind of started that weirdness, and it's sad that it's become so normalized, and then people are supposed to just brush it off to the side like, well, that's nothing. No, threatening people's lives and their livelihood, it's not funny. Never has been. Thanks for watching. Be sure to head over to Rippaverse.com to check out our comic book company. We have books, plenty of merchandise, and even some glorious animations from Rippaverse Studios.